Here we go again. Welcome to number 51. I want to talk about Joe Rogan, Sanjay Gupta, and those wonderful cast members of the show we all know and love, The View. Stay tuned. I said it, The View. That's right. They had to discuss whether Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN, should have went on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast to talk about COVID. They had to discuss it and decide whether or not he should have been on there or not. A, it's none of their business what he does. B, if he's invited to the Joe Rogan podcast and accepts, he goes. He knows what Joe Rogan talks about. He knows Joe Rogan is no holds barred, so he went on the show. But these lovely ladies of The View, they weren't too happy with it. They didn't like what Rogan had to say to him and blah, 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 blah. Watch this quick clip, and I want to come back and talk about it a little more.
You know, Joe Rogan, now I understand he has 200 million listeners. Yeah. And there are people who want to go after him for it, and Howard Stern is one of them. And Howard Stern probably has a similar audience to Joe Rogan, maybe. And I just want to read you what Howard Stern said to him. Quote, "We have no time for idiots in this country anymore. We don't want you. We want you to all either go to the hospital and stay home, die there with your COVID. Don't take the cure, but don't clog up our hospitals with your COVID when you finally get it."
That thing about Joe Rogan, if you look at his, yes, he has all of these listeners. That's so wonderful. But some of the stuff that he has said, he's transphobic. He's Islamophobic. He has said racist things. I mean, another one with the trifecta of bigotry. And these people continue to listen to him. He has advised young people, if you're young and you're healthy, don't take the vaccine. I think if you are still listening to him, knowing his history, I'm not interested in reaching out to you.
So the princess herself, Joy Behar, decided to read that little quote from Howard Stern about how he felt about Joe Rogan and his views on the pandemic. And quite frankly, I don't give any thought to anything Howard Stern has to say. We all know how Howard Stern started. His show was nothing but filth, pornography, vulgarity, raunchy comedians, and drug addicts, and you name it, he had it on his show, and that's how he became famous. All of a sudden, he's a big COVID proponent. He's a big proponent of the mandates that are going on in this country right now. So he thinks Joe Rogan should mind his own business. Why doesn't Howard Stern go on Joe Rogan or vice versa and have them debate? See who comes out on top in that debate. I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan's going to come out on top because I know Howard Stern has millions of viewers and listeners, as does Joe Rogan. But who cares what Howard Stern has to say? Everybody has their own thoughts and views about what's been going on in this country the last couple of years. But the ladies on The View, obviously they don't like Joe Rogan, from what they said. Obviously they're a fan of Dr. Gupta, which is fine. But who are they to go on their network show and talk shit about Joe Rogan? And if you watch the last segment of that video I just played, I don't even know what her name is, Sunny something, Sunny Hostin, I don't even know her name. But anyways, she's saying Rogan's transphobic, he's Islamophobic, he uses racial slurs. 1, 2, 3, none of the above. Joe Rogan is a comedian. He's a stand-up comic. He tells jokes. And we all know people don't like jokes today because everybody's offended by everything. So if he goes and does one of his stand-ups and talks about trans people, he's not bashing them. He's not saying he doesn't like them. He's telling a joke. People are laughing. He doesn't mean it. That's why he's called a comedian. But these women on The View, God forbid you tell jokes. According to this Sunny person, he's transphobic. When did Joe Rogan ever say he was against trans people? When did Joe Rogan say he was against Muslims? He's Islamophobic. I've never heard Joe Rogan use a racial slur. Has he? Maybe. Who knows? Again, he's a comedian. That's what he does. He tells jokes. And the majority of the people who listen to him like him. I think he's got something like over 200 million listeners from his podcast alone. And we all know he's a stand-up comic. He travels, he tours, blah, blah, blah. Why is it that people can't tell jokes today? 30 years ago, you could say anything. You could talk about anything. It's called comedy. But these women are against it. They're all for fucking Howard Stern. Howard Stern, again, had nothing but filth on his show back in the day. And yeah, Howard Stern's got millions of listeners too, and he's got all this money from the whatever satellite fucking station he's on. I don't even know what the hell it's called anymore. But my point is, you're all pro Howard Stern and everything he did, and I don't know if he still does that. I don't even care. I don't listen to him. I don't watch him. I don't like him. I don't like his material, basically. But he became famous by being disgusting, filthy, vulgar, always had something pornographic on his show, always doing crazy shit, but people loved it, and people followed it, and they continue to follow it. But these women, the holier-than-thou women on The View, they're all for Howard Stern. Howard Stern can never do nothing wrong. If he says he doesn't like Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan is saying the wrong things, then that's what's happening. Come on. They're saying Joe Rogan is basically advising young people not to get a vaccine. Who ever heard him say that? What he basically talks about is a healthy lifestyle, exercise, supplementation, a good diet. I've never heard him say that. You young people shouldn't get this or get that. That's not what he's saying. He confronted Sanjay Gupta about certain topics, one of them being that CNN reported that he took a horse dewormer for a medication when he caught COVID, which again is not the truth. The medication he took was prescribed to him by a doctor, and from what even Sanjay Gupta says, it's been given to millions of people during this pandemic. And apparently it works. I don't even know what the hell it's called, Invectin, something like that. I'm probably wrong, don't quote me on it. But my point is, he confronted Gupta, and Gupta didn't say it. He didn't say that. His other colleagues at CNN said it. So Rogan basically said, so you're okay with them lying on national television, a big news network like that? You're condoning what they're saying. And then he said, no, he didn't think they should say that. But these View people, they're all for anything CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, whatever they say goes. They don't want to hear the truth, but they say they believe everything Gupta said because he's a neurosurgeon, he's a scientist. Yeah, that's right. And I've listened to him talk, and yeah, the man's very smart. Of course he is. He's a fucking neurosurgeon. But how do we know that everything he says is perfect too? How do we know that? We don't know. We don't know if what he's saying is fact. It's all studies. We all know there's a ton of studies right now because of this pandemic, but we don't know that what he's saying is 100% fact. But according to these women, what he's saying is giving scientific facts of what's going on. I'm no fucking scientist. I'm far from it, but I'll listen to whatever somebody has to say. And then you do your own research and do this or do that. That's all we can do. But why go on TV to bash one person because you don't like the things he says and you don't like the things he said during his interview with Dr. Gupta. Who are they to do that? And they're bashing Rogan. They're bashing him for his views on what's going on. Whatever happened to, it's my opinion, I'm entitled to it. He's not giving medical advice. He's not a medical expert. He talks a lot about vitamin D and supplementation and working out because he's big into training and martial arts and blah, blah, blah. That's what he talks about. But apparently, according to these ladies, he's giving advice to people whether you should do this or should do that. That's bullshit. You know it, I know it, and these women know it. But they're going to keep pushing the agenda of who? Of DC. That's right. Thank you. They're going to keep pushing the agenda of Washington, D.C. because that's what these news networks do. So, it's okay to put that on national TV and talk about somebody that way and tell people he's saying this about trans people, he's saying this about Muslims, he's being racist, when quite frankly, I don't know if he has. I don't know. But I do know, again, that he's a freaking comedian. That's what he does. And if you can't take jokes, okay, then you shouldn't be watching him. You shouldn't be watching any comedian because, quite frankly, they're all telling jokes about everything. Okay? Any subject, any race, any religion, it doesn't mean they don't like these people or they have phobias about these people. It's fucking comedy. Okay? Comedy. End of story. That's what it is. And that's why I'm having this rant today, because, quite frankly, it's bullshit. I don't know what the hell's going on, but you can't even put on a talk show, and I don't watch these women anyways, but I saw it and I'm like, are you kidding me? They're bashing a guy who's got one of the biggest podcasts in the world and has all top-notch people on, scientists, doctors, athletes, artists, musicians, everything. He's got everything on there. But they don't like it. They don't like what he had to say about a pandemic and what his thoughts were. And he had a long discussion with Dr. Gupta. They basically agreed on a lot of things, and they disagreed on a lot of things. And isn't that what it's about? Isn't it your right to disagree with somebody? Absolutely. So that's it. That's it. That's my rant. I'm against what they had to say because it's bullshit, and they get away with saying it because of the networks. Okay? I could never say that because who the fuck am I? Okay? I would be taken down like nothing anybody sees it anyways. My point is, I can never go around saying shit like that. But they can because they're on these major networks and they get away with it. So you believe what you want. Okay? Again, it's your opinion. You do the research. You read the reports if you want. You read the studies and see where it goes. And that's it. That's the only thing we can do. You don't know who's telling the truth. You don't know if it's 100% fact. All you can do is use your own judgment to hope you're doing the right thing. And that's it. End of story. End of rant. Thank you for tuning in to number 51. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell. You'll be notified when there's another episode coming up. And I hope everybody's healthy and safe. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.